So today, we are covering a story that goes right to the heart of one of the most fundamental human rights issues on the African continent. Access to clean, reliable water. And we are covering it through the lens of a country that has, in recent months, been making bold, decisive moves to confront infrastructural challenges that have lingered for far too long. Ghana's President John Dramani Mahama has just made a landmark announcement that will reverberate across the northern region and the country in its entirety. The government is moving to self-finance the long-stalled 277 million Tamale water supply project, a development that carries extraordinary significance for millions of people whose daily lives have been shaped by water scarcity. Now, this is not just a story about a project. This is a story about political will, about national resilience, about a government making hard choices in the face of difficult economic circumstances. And when you really unpack what has happened here, the context, the history, and the scale of the problem, you begin to appreciate just how important this moment truly is. So let us get into it properly, because this story deserves that depth of treatment. Hit the like button as we commence. The announcement came at what might initially seem like an unlikely venue, a sod-cutting ceremony for a 24-hour economy model market in Bimbila in the Nanamba North municipality. But that context is actually quite telling. President Mahama was in the northern region to mark progress on multiple fronts of development, and it was there, in front of a gathering that understood firsthand the realities of living in an underserved region, that he made what may turn out to be one of the most consequential infrastructure commitments of his current term. The president directed the government to mobilize the resources necessary to self-finance the stalled 277 million Tamale water supply project. Let that figure register for a moment. 277 million. This is not a modest municipal upgrade. This is a transformational infrastructure investment of an order that can genuinely reshape the development trajectory of an entire region. The scale of the commitment speaks to the scale of the problem being confronted and to the seriousness with which the Mahama administration is approaching it. The Bimbila market itself, which was the occasion of the ceremony, is also part of a wider economic philosophy, the 24-hour economy concept that the president has championed as a tool for boosting productivity, enabling more trading hours, and expanding economic opportunity at the grassroots level. The market, when completed, is expected to serve as a model for how local commerce can be energized through infrastructure investment. But as significant as that initiative is, it was the water announcement that captured the room and the country's attention. To fully appreciate why this announcement matters so deeply, we need to understand the crisis that it is designed to address. Tamale, the capital of the northern region and one of Ghana's fastest growing cities, has for years been caught in a water deficit of near crisis proportions. The gap between what the city needs and what it actually receives has grown wider with each passing year, and the consequences for residents have been severe. The numbers tell the story with painful clarity. Daily water demand across Tamale and its surrounding communities sits at somewhere between 90,000 and 95,000 cubic meters. That is the amount of water that homes, businesses, schools, hospitals, and public spaces across the metropolis require every single day just to function at an adequate level. Against that demand, the Ghana Water Company Limited, the state utility responsible for water supply, is producing somewhere in the region of 35,000 to 38,000 cubic meters per day. Do the mathematics, and you arrive at a daily deficit of somewhere between 52,000 and 60,000 cubic meters. More than half of what Tamale needs is simply not being delivered. The lived experience of that deficit is one that too many residents know intimately. Persistent shortages, water rationing schedules that disrupt household routines, businesses, particularly in the food and hospitality sector, struggling to operate reliably, healthcare facilities facing supply challenges that have direct consequences for patient care, small-scale farmers in the surrounding communities unable to access adequate water for irrigation. This is the reality that sits behind the statistics. And it is the reality that makes the president's announcement so urgently important. The roots of this deficit are not mysterious. Tamale has experienced rapid population growth over recent decades as the northern region has expanded economically and as the city has grown in administrative importance. Infrastructure investment, however, has not kept pace with that growth. The water supply system serving Tamale was designed for a city of a far smaller size, and the combination of aging infrastructure, growing demand, and inadequate investment has produced the shortfall that residents face today. Now, here is where the story gets even more layered, and where the current announcement takes on an additional dimension of political and economic significance. The 277 million Tamale water supply project is not a new idea. Parliament had previously given its approval to a funding facility of that value, intended to finance both the Tamale Water Project and the Damongo Water Project in the Savannah region. That approval was a moment of genuine optimism, a signal that the financing architecture was in place to finally tackle Tamale's water deficit at the scale it required. But then Ghana's debt crisis intervened. The country's well-documented debt default, which led to the restructuring program that has defined much of Ghana's recent economic narrative, had direct consequences for the country's ability to access international financing. The external funding arrangement for the Tamale water supply project, supported by the European Union, collapsed as a result of Ghana's inability to access that facility given the debt default. The EU withdrew the funding, the project stalled, and Tamale's residents were left waiting once again for relief that seemed perpetually just out of reach. This is a moment worth reflecting on carefully because it illustrates a broader challenge facing many developing economies. Infrastructure projects of this scale almost always require external financing, concessional loans, development bank facilities, bilateral agreements with partner countries or blocs. When a country's fiscal position deteriorates to the point of debt default, access to those financing mechanisms dries up, projects get shelved, development stalls, and it is ordinary citizens, the people who need water, roads, hospitals, and schools, who bear the cost of macroeconomic decisions made at the national level. President Mahama's response to this situation is, I would argue, one of the most strategically significant aspects of this entire announcement, rather than accepting the situation as an impasse. Rather than waiting for external conditions to improve sufficiently to revive the original financing arrangement, he has directed the finance minister to secure the necessary funding domestically. The government will not, he has made clear, stand by and rely solely on external support to resolve pressing national challenges. That is a statement of national self-determination that carries real weight. The decision to pursue self-financing for a project of this magnitude is not one that any government takes lightly. 277 million is a substantial sum by any standard, and committing to mobilize those resources domestically, particularly in the context of a country that is still navigating the aftermath of a debt restructuring program, is a bold and consequential choice. But it is the right choice, and here is why. Water supply is not a luxury infrastructure item. It is not a stadium or a convention center whose absence, while frustrating, does not directly threaten human welfare. Water is foundational. Everything else, economic productivity, public health, education, household dignity, depends on access to clean and reliable water. A government that recognizes this and acts accordingly, even under difficult fiscal conditions, is a government that has its priorities in the right order. The president's directive to the finance minister is, in essence, a reprioritization signal. It is a statement that within the totality of the government's spending decisions, the Tamale water crisis has been elevated to the level of urgency that justifies domestic resource mobilization at scale. That kind of leadership decision, to take on a difficult financial commitment in service of a genuine human need, is exactly what development-focused governance looks like in practice. There are also sound economic arguments for the investment. Clean water supply is not just a social good, it is an economic enabler. Industries that depend on reliable water access, from food processing to textile manufacturing to hospitality and healthcare, become more viable and more productive when supply constraints are removed. A Tamale that has reliable water is a Tamale that can grow faster, attract more investment, and generate more tax revenue. The economic returns on this investment, properly accounted for, are substantial. Let us look at the specifics of what this project will deliver, because the technical details here are genuinely impressive and help explain why this intervention is being treated as transformational rather than merely incremental. The Tamale water supply project, once completed and operational, will have the capacity to produce more than 30 million gallons of water every single day. To put that in context, that represents roughly a doubling or more of current supply capacity, and it is calibrated to close the gap between current production levels and actual daily demand across the metropolis and surrounding communities. For the first time in years, perhaps in a generation, Tamale could have a water supply system that meets, rather than falls dramatically short of, the needs of its population. The project will draw water from Yipi, a town along the White Volta River, to serve key parts of Tamale, with particular focus on the southern corridor of the city. This is a strategic choice that reflects both the geographic distribution of the city's population and the hydrological realities of the region. The White Volta is one of Ghana's major river systems, and tapping its capacity through a properly engineered water supply infrastructure creates a sustainable long-term solution rather than a temporary patch. Beyond Tamale itself, surrounding communities stand to benefit significantly. Water supply constraints in the northern region affect not just the urban core, but the network of towns and villages that depend on the regional infrastructure system. Expanding supply capacity at the center creates the potential to improve coverage in the wider catchment area, benefiting communities that have historically been at the tail end of a supply chain that could barely meet the demands of the city, let alone the surrounding region. One of the most practically significant aspects of the president's announcement, and one that demonstrates a real understanding of the urgency on the ground, is the commitment to immediate, short-term action alongside the longer-term project. Major infrastructure projects, even when properly funded and expertly executed, take time. Engineering work, procurement, construction, testing, and commissioning of a system of this scale does not happen overnight. Residents facing a daily water crisis cannot simply be asked to wait for years while the big solution is being built. The president acknowledged this reality directly. Funds have been earmarked to replace the aging pumps at Dalen, the current pumping station that feeds into Tamale's water supply system, as an interim measure to improve water flow in the near term. This is practical, targeted, and impactful. Old, poorly maintained pumping infrastructure is one of the key reasons why the supply system is underperforming even relative to its rated capacity. Replacing those pumps will not solve Tamale's water crisis on its own, but it will deliver a meaningful improvement in supply in the short term while the larger infrastructure work is underway. This two-track approach, immediate relief plus long-term transformation, reflects mature infrastructure planning. It tells residents that the government understands their current suffering and is not asking them to simply endure it indefinitely. It delivers tangible, visible action in the near term while laying the groundwork for systemic, lasting change. That combination of short-term responsiveness and long-term vision is exactly the kind of governance that builds trust between citizens and their institutions. The response from residents has been telling. Across Tamale and the northern region, the reaction to the announcement has been one of cautious but genuine hope. People who have lived with rationing schedules, with empty taps, with the daily burden of sourcing water from alternative means, are allowing themselves to believe that this time, the relief they have been promised will actually arrive. That hope is a powerful thing, and it places a responsibility on the government to deliver. There is a dimension to this story that goes beyond water infrastructure, and it is one that any serious analysis must engage with honestly. The northern region of Ghana has, throughout much of the country's post-independence history, experienced a development gap relative to the southern and coastal regions. Infrastructure deficits in water, roads, electricity, healthcare, and education have been more pronounced in the north, and the economic consequences of those deficits have compounded over decades into a persistent disparity in living standards and economic opportunity. The 277 million Tamale water supply project, in this context, is not just a water project. It is a statement about the government's commitment to regional equity, to closing the development gap between north and south, and to ensuring that the fruits of national development reach all citizens regardless of where they were born. Every Ghanaian in every region has an equal claim on the state's infrastructure investment, and a government that acts on that principle, particularly in areas of historically concentrated deprivation, is doing something genuinely important for national cohesion and social justice. Let us bring this together. President Mahama's announcement of the self-financed 277 million Tamale water supply project is a multi-layered story of crisis, resilience, and determination. It is a story about a city that has waited too long for water security. It is a story about a financing arrangement that collapsed under the weight of national debt challenges. And it is a story about a government that chose not to accept the status quo, that directed its finance minister to find a way, and that committed to delivering a solution regardless of the obstacles. The project will produce over 30 million gallons of water daily, serve Tamale and its surrounding communities, draw from the White Volta at Yape, and transform the daily lives of millions of people in the northern region. In the meantime, pump replacements at Dalen will begin delivering improvement in the short term. Parliament had already approved the broader framework. The political will is now clearly present. What comes next is delivery, and the eyes of the northern region, and indeed the whole country, will be watching closely. If this breakdown gave you a clearer picture of what is happening in Ghana right now, do me a favor and hit that like button. It costs you nothing and it genuinely helps more people find this content. Subscribe if you are not already part of the community. We bring you Africa's development stories with the depth and seriousness they deserve. And leave a comment below. What do you think about Ghana's decision to self-finance this project? Is this the model that more African governments should be following? I want to hear your perspective. Until next time, be sure to check this next video out.